Hi creators, I'm Anne of Anne Again Creates. We're going for a tropical theme today. I've used my silhouette to cut out my letter E, which started as a big blocky font, and then I added a bit of a curve to the inside top and inside bottom. Okay friends, these little devils are 1mm wide strips that I cut out of printer paper. I saw some awesome quilled flowers in a YouTube video by Miriam's Quilling, and she used 1mm strips. Crazy, right? I didn't even know these things existed. Well, when I saw her flowers, I knew that's what I wanted to do for this project. But these 1mm strips are tricky things. They're so skinny and awkward, and once they become unraveled a tiny bit or misaligned, I'd lost. I couldn't get it back on track. I had to start over. They almost defeated me. I mean, they did defeat me in several battles, but I eventually won the war, so let me show you what worked for me. I started off by gluing 3 strips together, which is not Miriam's method. I couldn't get her method to work for me, which is too bad. It looked cool. But gluing them together meant less opportunity for unraveling and for me to go insane. So glue it is. Then I rolled it into a tight coil, carefully keeping it lined up until it reached a point where I could adjust my handhold and grip it from the side, still trying to roll it tightly. Then I used my third hand to grab some glue. Haha, I wish. Glue that flap down quick before anything bad happens. And then gently push it off the quilling tool, pushing near the center. Don't grab an edge and pull it, that is asking for trouble. Now it's time to shape it. And this is the reason to stick with these 1mm strips. In the middle of my frustration, I tried using a 3mm wide strip and it was a snap to roll, but it just wasn't the same. These amazingly annoying 1mm strips managed to create really nicely shaped, delicate flower petals. 5 precious petals for my flower. I do not want to risk any of those petals coming unraveled, so I'm going to apply a thin layer of glue to one side, let it dry, then do the other side. And once they're dry, I can paint them. I'm adding some yellow to the pointy end, which will be the center of the flower. And then a tiny bit of orange right at the tip. And it looks like a chicken head. For real, a full-on chicken head with a beak. Forging ahead. I've got a bunch of tropical leaves cut out, thank you Silhouette, but you could cut these out by hand. I didn't have any special template, I just went on the internet and did a search for tropical leaf outline and used what came up. And it's easy to resize the images too in whatever program you're using for some variation if you want. This first cluster of leaves, that's where the focal point of my design will be, and where the flower will go. I didn't end up using as many leaves as I thought I would. Here I'm wiping off any extra glue. I don't want it to get stuck to the white paper underneath. Chicken heads unite! It's time for the chicken head convention. Everyone, huddle together. I spent several minutes just staring and wondering if this will work, but I just gotta do it now. We're gonna glue it down. This thing is gonna stay put. Look at that glob of glue. I put the glob on one side of the peak because I want the petal tilted, kind of lounging on one side. Another glob of glue on the second petal. I let those first 2 petals dry before adding the others out of paranoia. So far, I am very impressed by how the petals are standing up. Holy mackerel, do you see that? It's transformed into a gorgeous don't touch it! Gorgeous flower. Yellow strips. I wanted to give some 3D-ness to these flat leaves. Originally, I thought I might outline them in a matching green, but fortunately, I nixed that idea. That is something I will leave for the pros. Instead, I decided to add some leaf veins in a yellow color to make it pop. I'm adding glue to all the edges that will touch other paper. So in this case, 2 edges. So I've got all the yellow strips done for these 2 leaves, and I've tried convincing myself it's fine, but the blockiness is really bothering me. So I'm going to try doing something that I really hope I'll like, because haha, there's no undo button. Okay, compare cut to uncut. And I like the cut. Yes, that's an improvement. We've come leaps and bounds. But looking at it, I know what this design needs. Yep, more flowers. I did it, guys. I made more flowers without going bonkers. In fact, I thought these were easier to make. Probably because they used fewer strips. Remember the first big one had 3 strips per petal? Well, that one I'm gluing now, 2 strips per petal. And that smallest one there in the middle, 1 strip per petal. There was a good deal of apprehension about these flowers along the way. You know what I'm talking about? Remember the chicken heads? Yeah, I am so super happy with how these flowers turned out. More yellow strips. And I'm actually trimming them first. How clever of me. Before I finish this leaf, I need to cut it first. So everything sticking out that is not part of the focal point gets trimmed. Know why? Because eventually I'll be adding on an outline around the letter. That's right, this is not a no outline method. It's just a backwards outline at the end method. Oops, forgot to trim these. Now I can finish the strips. Moving on to a different type of tropical leaf. This one will use some classic quilling skills. I'll use my slotted tool to roll up a strip of light green paper. This is about 1/3 of a strip. And then let it relax into a loose coil. Glue it shut. And then pinch opposite ends to make a marquee shape. I'm going to wrap it in an olive green strip, overlapping a bit at the beginning to make sure it gets fully wrapped, because I'm just going around it once. And that's because I want these leaves as flat as possible. You might be able to tell the light green strip is a very thin paper. I have no idea what weight, but I'd say less than the typical printer paper, which is good for flat leaves, and I want them flat. But I also want to use the light green as stems, but if I glued it on edge, I'm not sure it would stand up on its own. So that's why I'm doubling up the paper here. 2 paper layers with glue in between should stiffen it up enough to serve as a stem. And now we get to glue down, starting with the stems and then the leaves. You'll notice that some of the leaves stick out, like that. When that happens, I try to put glue on just the part that touches the black letter. I don't want it to get stuck to the white paper. That one I'll have to hold down for a minute till the glue adheres. Here is a reminder that I do try to clean up the glue globbies, but I don't always show it because it's boring. More stem and leaves down here. This one I'm trying to make a little more wonky and natural looking. Oh, what the? I forgot I put that there. Kind of a test run. We don't need it. Take it out. Okay, everything has dried overnight. I wanted to make sure those leaves were really on there before I hack away at them. This was a bit of a white knuckle moment for me. You know, cutting the flat leaves, easy. But these are thick old chunks. Would it work? Was I about to ruin the whole thing? I should have put on my safety goggles. Those pieces go flying. Okay, rough cut is done. Now for some fine tuning. I don't want them going past the black edge because remember, I'm putting on an outline. Oops, lost a tooth. Better glue that back in. And might as well fix this wobbly tooth too while we're at it. All in all, not bad. Here's my white cardstock background paper and my 8x10 mat with a 5x7 opening, and we'll use it as a guide to glue the letter in the right place. Oh, looks good. Here are 5mm black strips. I cut them from the same paper I used for the letter. That way the black matches exactly. I think you'll catch on to my method of outlining in about 10 seconds. It's not complicated. Although this is different from my normal since I have a letter cut out to follow for this one. Normally I use a light box. Also, for this one I'm using a pencil to mark the corners. And that's not too unusual. Occasionally I'll use tweezers to just grab and bend it. A lot of times I'll grab it with my thumbnail. But I've got no nails today, so that wouldn't work. Turns out that flower petal is just barely sticking beyond the edge. But no way, no how am I gonna mess with that. So I'll just stop the outline and start again on the other side. I don't usually include doing the outline in my videos, so feel free to skip ahead. And oh, do not miss the part where I pick up the letter and tilt it. That's like one of my favorite parts. Okay, now I take a break from talking. One of the fantastic things of quilling is seeing how it changes depending on your view. This has been an amazing project for me. So many new ideas and new techniques, for me at least, that I've tried on this project, and I just love the way it's turned out. And we'll finish with a close-up. Thanks for watching. See you next time.